In this video, we will review how you can register an athlete as a caregiver. This video applies to you if you are a parent or caregiver of an athlete or multiple athletes, your athlete does not have their own email address, you are not already a volunteer within the Special Olympics Pennsylvania portal, or your athlete is under the age of 18 and/or not their own legal guardian. Before you begin registration, please have the following items handy. Please have your email open and ready to check. Please have your athlete's medical history information available. And please have your athlete's medication information available, including dosage and frequency. Once you have these items ready, it's time to begin registration. First, we will open our web browser to navigate to the Special Olympics Pennsylvania portal. The web address is portals.specialolympics.org. Click on Create an Account to get started. Select Pennsylvania as your participating state. For your role, select I will be registering someone to participate in Special Olympics as an athlete or unified partner. Then click Continue. You'll be asked to verify your role. Click Yes, Continue. Next, you will be asked to verify your email. Type in your email address and click Send Verification Code. Then navigate to your email. You'll receive an email from Microsoft with a verification code. Enter the code you receive from Microsoft and click Verify Code. Then proceed with creating a password and entering your name. Please note that in this space you will be entering your name and information, not your athlete's name. On the next several pages, you will be asked to enter some basic information about yourself. Again, this section is asking for information about you, the parent or caregiver. You will be entering athlete information in a later section. Continue to enter information about yourself. The progress bar at the top lets you know how far along you are in the registration process. On the next page, enter your gender. Next, enter your race or ethnicity. Select what languages you speak. Select your t-shirt size. Select the region in which you live. By clicking on the plus sign next to each region, you will be able to see a list of counties within that region and select the one that applies to you. Next, enter your address. Enter your emergency contact information. Now you have finished creating a profile for yourself and you are ready to register an athlete or multiple athletes. You are now on the home page of the Register Zone. Click on My Participants to begin adding your athletes. On the My Participants page, click on Add New Athlete to begin creating a profile for your athlete. You will be asked to provide basic contact and emergency contact information for your athlete. There is a space to enter your athlete's date of birth. If you do not know the athlete's date of birth, you can select DOB Not Known. If your athlete requires support in order to complete the forms, check the This participant requires a parent or guardian to complete forms on their behalf field. If your athlete is able to complete forms independently, you do not need to check this box. If you will be receiving emails on behalf of the athlete, select the Do you receive email on behalf of this person? Yes field. Your email address will auto-populate in the email line. If you do not receive email on behalf of this person, enter the email address to which information should go. Click Submit. Now you have created a profile for your athlete and are ready to start completing their health history and release form. You will now see the athlete that you just created listed on your My Participants page. You will notice a blue link under the Health History column that says Incomplete. This lets you know that the athlete has a health history and release form that needs to be completed. Click on the Incomplete link to be directed to the health history and release form. You've now been directed to the athlete's checklist. Click Health History and Release Form to begin completing the form. You will be directed through a series of health questions. A progress bar at the top of the screen will let you know how far along in the process you are. An associated condition is any condition that the athlete has which may be associated with an intellectual disability. Examples include Down syndrome and autism. This is a required question. Click on Add Condition to see and select from a list of options. Once complete, hit the Save and Continue button. If an athlete uses any mobility devices, such as a walker or wheelchair, select the Add Mobility Device button to add it to the health history form. If the athlete does not use a mobility device, you can hit Save and Continue to move on to the next page. If the athlete uses any lifestyle aids, such as glasses, click on Add Lifestyle Aid to add to the form. If the athlete does not use any lifestyle aids, click Save and Continue to move on to the next question. If the athlete uses a communication device, such as a hearing aid, click Add Communication Device to add this item to the health history form. If the athlete does not use a communication device, click Save and Continue to move to the next page. If the athlete uses any medical devices, such as a pacemaker, click Add Medical Device to add this to the health history form. If the athlete does not use any medical devices, click Save and Continue to move to the next question. Next, you will be asked if the athlete has any dietary requirements. An example would be a gluten intolerance. If the athlete does not have a dietary requirement, select No and hit Save and Continue to move to the next question. If the athlete does have a specific dietary requirement, select Yes to this question. A box will appear where you can write in the specifics of the dietary requirement. After adding in the dietary requirement, click Save and Continue to move to the next question. Next, you will be asked if the athlete uses any other assistive devices that did not fit into the previous categories. If the athlete does not use other assistive devices, select No and then hit Save and Continue to move to the next question. If the athlete does use an assistive device, select Yes to this question. A box will appear where you can write in the specifics of the device. Next, you will be asked a series of yes and no questions related to health conditions. If you are unsure of what any of the questions mean, hover your mouse over the info circle or click it on your mobile phone for more information. Once you've answered the health condition questions, click Save and Continue. If you have not ever had a head injury or concussion, you can select No to the next question and hit Save and Continue. If you have had a head injury or concussion, select Yes. If you select Yes, you'll be asked to provide additional information. Provide information on how many head injuries or concussions you have had in your lifetime, and provide a best estimate for when the last head injury or concussion was. Then click Save and Continue. Next, you will be asked about severe allergies. Please do not include mild allergies such as seasonal allergies. You only need to answer yes if your athlete has severe allergies that require the use of an EpiPen. If you select yes, you will be asked to provide information on the athlete's allergy. Then hit Save and Continue. Next, you will be asked if the athlete has any behavioral, mental health, and/or sensory conditions. This can include anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder, and other conditions. If the athlete does not have any of these conditions, select No and then hit Save and Continue to move to the next question. If the athlete does have a mental health, behavioral, or sensory condition, select Yes to this question. A box will appear where you can write in the specifics of the condition. Next, you will be asked to list any medications that the athlete regularly takes. Please note, this does not include short-term medications such as antibiotics, and you do not need to include multivitamins. Please have information on the medication name, dosage, and frequency ready. Click on Add Medication if the athlete has any medications to include. Once the medication name, dosage, and frequency have been added, click Submit. If you have another medication to add, click on the Add Medication button again to enter the next medication. If you do not have any other medications to add, click Save and Continue. You will next be asked if the athlete has any objections to receiving emergency care or blood transfusions. If the athlete does not object to receiving medical treatment or blood transfusions, do not check the boxes on this page and just hit Save and Continue. Select whether you or the athlete's family would be interested in learning about Special Olympics research studies. Then hit Save and Continue. Now you are ready to review and sign the health history and release form. There are two options to sign the form. You can manually sign the form by downloading and printing the form, or you can e-sign the form. Select the option that you prefer. If you choose to e-sign the form, you will be asked to enter the email address that the form should go to. This will likely be the email of the parent, caregiver, or athlete. Once you click Send e-sign request, an email will be sent to that email address with an invitation to review and sign the health history and release form. Once the form is signed, staff will review the health history and release form.